Okay, we've collected all these values and they're available in our actual code now. So we need to start doing what everybody loves to do, especially in their spare time, is a little bit of math. So we'll scroll down to our code here. So I know that I have all these values and now I need to start doing something with them. So let's start calculating an estimate. So I'm going to create a new variable called estimate. And I'm going to start by just taking each of these bottle values and multiplying them by their prices. So I see that extra virgin olive oil is $10 a bottle. So I'm going to take the value of extra. I'm going to multiply it by 10. Asterisk in JavaScript means multiply. It's not X or anything else. You want to use an asterisk. So I'm going to add to that the same thing for the others. So let's look. Cold pressed olive oil is $8 a bottle. And then the garlic infused is also $10 a bottle. Okay. I'm going to get rid of these. So I've calculated an estimate, not taking anything else into account so far, but I can still use it if I want to. So I'm going to set the value of this text field to my estimate so far, and I can always enhance it later. So let's split the view and scroll up a little bit, find that. Here we are. The ID I want is text estimate. So I'm going to use document.getElementById. I'm going to use text estimate. Thank you very much. And I'm going to set its value to estimate. Very good. Save that. And now switch over here and reload. Fill in some values. Try estimating the total. Oh, it wants me to choose the shipping state. Okay. But it still calculated the estimate. Very good. The math might even check out. $10 plus 2 times 16 plus 3 times 30. Yep, great. $56. Okay, that does not take into account shipping or the state. So I'm going to need to add that on next. But we're getting started here. So what I need to do now is let's take into account tax next. So I have the value of the state field here, but I need to figure out what the associated tax should be. So the way I'm going to do that is by using this value and calculating a tax factor. So the California tax rate that I'm showing here is 7.5%. So what I need to do is take the subtotal and then add on to it 7.5% tax. The same calculation can be done by multiplying by 1 plus that percentage. In this case, 7.5% is 1.075. So I'm going to create another variable, not called state, but called tax factor. And I'm not going to want to set it to this all the time. So let me cut that. In fact, for most of these states, we're not going to charge tax at all. So I'm going to set my tax factor to 1 to start with. And then, if it turns out that my state is California, I'm going to reset tax factor to this. So how do I know that the state is California? Well, if the state is California, this variable state will be CA. And I'm going to add a little comment here. This is non-executable code. Just helps me remember what I'm doing. Tax is 7.5% in California. Okay, so now I know my tax factor. Now let's figure out the shipping cost. I have a variable called shipping method, and it's going to be one of these values. It'll either be pickup, USPS, or UPS. I happen to remember that, but if you don't believe me, you can scroll up and look at these values for the various radio buttons. Here they are. Pickup, USPS, and UPS. So I'm going to start out with a variable called shipping cost, which will start at nothing. Now there's various ways I could phrase this. You've seen if statements already, so I'm going to show you another one called switch. A switch block looks a lot like an if block, but instead I'm going to put in a variable that I'm going to check multiple times. In this case, that will be shipping method. And so the phraseology here is switches followed by cases. And each case looks like this. So I'm going to start with pickup because that's first in the order here. It's just convenient for now. So instead of using curly braces, a case block starts with a colon and then ends with the keyword break. It's a little weird. And perhaps in this case, because there's only 3 options, it's not the most appropriate thing, but I want to show it to you. And this is what it looks like. So if the shipping method is pickup, we'll set shipping cost to 0. That's what this says. Now the thing about a switch statement is that you can copy and paste several of these, one right after the other, in one block. So if it's USPS, I want it to add $2 per bottle. And then if it's UPS, I need to add $3 a bottle. Okay, so this is not actually my total shipping cost. This is just the shipping cost that I'm going to need per bottle. So let's rename this variable. Let's call it shipping cost per. And now to actually figure out my shipping cost, I need to total up the number of bottles and then multiply it by my shipping cost per bottle. So shipping cost is, I'll grab these, add all these up, and then multiply it by my shipping cost per bottle. Okay, so now I have pretty much everything I need to make this final calculation. I'm going to break out this component first. So I'm going to create another variable called subtotal here, which is going to be all of this stuff. But now I'm going to multiply all of this by the tax factor because I don't charge tax on the shipping, just on the items. Add all these things up, put it in parentheses to group it so that all these go together, and then multiply that whole thing by the tax factor. There we go. And then my final estimate should be my shipping cost added to my subtotal, like this. Save it. And I'll reload over here. Let's just put 1 bottle of each. Use Illinois for no tax right now, and we'll just go easy and use free pickup. Okay, I'm getting sensible numbers. Now let's change this to California. Try it again. Whoa, Nelly, look at that. Very exciting. We'll deal with that in a little bit. I'm going to change my shipping method. It should add $2 a bottle, so it should add $6. And whoa, this is clearly wrong. So we're running into a situation where obviously something's broken. And I think I know what it is. When these values come in from these fields, they are of the string data type. And when you use the plus operator on a string, you concatenate them together. That is, you squish them together. So instead of being 1 plus 1 plus 1 or 3, it's 1, 1, 1, which is not particularly helpful. It's something like that. So we're going to have to fix that next. But for now, we know that we're collecting all these values and we're generally on the right track here. We just need to make sure that all these types are correct. And so we'll be dealing with that next.